Woof, Diogenes here once again. It's time for episode 10 of Thomas the Trailhound. Let's get right into it, shall we? The new vow. Morning came, slow to Dennis Cove. Mist clung to the trees, thin, white strands. Soft as old breath, hanging low over the shelter roof. The air was cool, but not yet cold. That edge, a late summer, where you can taste the first turn towards fall, but you can't see it yet. Dawn light filtered through poplar and rhododendron in strips, and the world felt quieter than it had any right to be. He woke before light fully reached us. For a long while, he just sat there on the edge of the shelter floor, boots dangling, elbows on his knees, hands hanging loose, not gripping, not balled in the fist, just loose. That was new. For weeks, the old man had slept like a coiled wire. He curled around pain the way men curl around fire in winter. Because pain was heat, and heat meant you were still alive. And this morning, something in him had gone still. Not dead still, calm still. He rubbed the side of his neck and exhaled. And even his exhale sounded different, like a door that finally been opened, unlatched from the inside. He didn't smile. He don't just smile after grief like his. That's a lie people tell cheap stories. But the weight in his face, the hard clenched weight that lived deep at the corners of his mouth and in the tightness between his eyes, it had eased just a fraction, just enough for me to see it. He ran his palm once over my head between my ears, absent-minded, like he'd done 1,000 times. That part didn't change. But the hand that touched me wasn't shaking. I noticed that. Because last night, when he lay down, he was still carrying ghosts. And now, at first light, the ghost has stepped back. He stood and stretched slow, joints popping in the quiet. Reached for his pack, checked the straps, adjusted the weight. Muscle memory, ritual. He always moved in ritual. That never left him. Men who've lived through too much don't trust improvisation. Then his hand went to the lamp, careful, almost reverent. He didn't say a word. We left Dennis Cove with the world still damp and colorless. Drips from last night's condensation still ticked from leaf edges. My paws were silent in the duff. His boots creaked in the way leather does when it's dying from sweat and river crossings and time. The trail north wound out from the shelter and slid back into green. He didn't look back. He always used to look back. That's another thing I noticed. The first miles were empty miles. No talk, no humming, no muttered curses at rocks or roots. No whispered prayers to the woman he'd lost. He just walked. The forest around us was live in the lazy, heavy way of late August. Gnats in slow spirals where the sunlight cut in. Spider webs strung between young saplings, jeweled with beads of dew. The long, insistent hum of cicadas in the canopy, though even they were starting to tire. Someone was bleeding out at the edges. I could smell it. You learn to smell seasons when you live outside. The green smell was thinning, giving way to something drier, something more papery. The streams were lower than they'd been a week ago. When we crossed Little Feeder Creeks, you could see a flat rock where there used to be steady run. And ever so often, just once in a while, you see a leaf already gone, yellow, lying in the middle of the path, like corn someone dropped. He noticed those leaves. He always glanced at them, not like a hiker checking the weather ahead, more like a man measuring time. But mostly, he walked with that strange carefulness of someone who were learning his own body. He had to understand something about a man who's carried anger as long as he did. Rage is weight, a heavy one, but it's also a brace. You lean on it. You build your spine around it. You wake up, pick up that fire, and shoulder it like a pack, because you tell yourself you need it to move. And one day, after a long night at Dennis Cove, where a man finally let himself set the fire down, you stand up in the morning and you realize it's gone. And your first thought, in relief, your first thought is, how do I walk without it? He kept reaching for the ache that wasn't there. That's what I watched. It wasn't with his hands. It was subtler than that. It was in the little pauses, the little hesitations in his stride. Every time the trail curved, every time we hit an uphill push, there'd be this half stutter in his step, like a man reaching for a rifle that used to ride his shoulder. He'd been at war for so long that peace felt like disarmament, and disarmament felt like exposure. He didn't like exposure. He never had. Near midday, we stopped at a shallow run across the trail. Going to the creek would have been generous. It was a trickle, slipping over stone, clear, no deeper than my paw pads. With a little pool caught behind a fallen limb, the sun had burned through by then, and the mist breath forest of the morning had become warm and sharp and alive with noise of the wild. You know, beside the pool, he set his pack down, not dropped, set, gentle. He unclipped that little gray filter bottle and dipped it slow, careful not to stir silt from the bottom. I took a few laps from the main flow, nose low, ears twitching like horse flies. But then I saw it, or I think I saw it. Reflections in shallow water don't sit still. They break and mix, thin like pole glass. Sunlight kept catching in the current and shivering. But in that shimmer, for a heartbeat, there weren't two shapes, there were three. There was me, there was him. Between us, just off his chest, was a small flicker a brightness that wasn't the sun, like a candle flame, caught under its glint, like a lantern set beneath the waterline. Just there, then gone. I stare, I'm a hound. I know tricks of light. I know glare off of metal, the sky flash of ripples. This hit different. It felt placed. He set the bottle aside on a flat rock without looking at me. Spoke for the first time since sunrise. Barely a whisper. No more running, he said. He wasn't talking to me. No more rage. His jaw flexed once. Not hard, just confirmed. Only light. Only light. He unlatched the lamp where it rolled in the side sleeve of the pack. Now this lamp, you've seen it by now. You know it. Brass shoulders, worn down to dull shine from years of handling. Little scars in the metal from being dropped. The glass patched once with epoxy where it cracked and a fall back near Springer. It is not beautiful in the way rich men like beautiful things. It is beautiful in the way a thing is when it has survived. He held it in his palm like it was alive. Then, like an old priest at some roadside altar, he took the corner of his hiking shirt and started rubbing the glass in slow circles, lifting smeared trail salt, clearing it. He didn't light it. It was broad daylight. He just cleaned it, set it on a sun-warmed rock next to the pool, angled so the glass caught the noon light and threw it back out in a small, steady glow. And we sat there with it, not praying, not meditating, just witnessing. Two creatures and a lamp in the middle of nowhere, with nothing listening but cicadas and moving water. We climbed that afternoon. Nothing savage, not yet, but enough to pull the breath a little slower, to put damp back on his shirt and grit back into my paths. The trail curled up along exposed roots, and then finally followed a ridge line that let you see the whole green valley cut wide below us. Down there, farms. You could just make out the pale rectangles of pasture stitched between dark tree line, and a gravel road like a piece of fishing line thrown lazy across the land. Past that, hills on hills on hills, rolling out and stacking blue against blue until they finally turned into sky. We stopped there. He dropped his pack, then caught it with one hand before it hit the dirt. Again, no thuds, no violence. He was being deliberate with everything he touched today. Like the world was suddenly fragile. He crouched, started looking for stones. Not just any stones, flat ones, palm size, smooth. Turned them over, inspecting them the way a man inspects apples at a roadside stand. Not satisfied with first or the second or even the third, he chose 3. Then he built a cairn, but not the sloppy hockey kind people leave for selfies. This one was careful. 2 wide stones as a base, 2 thinner ones balanced across. One clean river worn oval on top. It was small, no taller than his knee, but he held the quiet work done with intent. He sat back on his heels, pulled his knife, and held the top oval in his offhand. With the point of the blade slow, he began to scratch. Not words, he's dumb with words. I think he doesn't believe in sayings, things he can't live. And more words are like that. What he carved was a spiral, starting tight at the center and widen. Slow, slow, slow. A patient outward curl. Not a whirlpool, not a hurricane. Those pulled down. This wasn't that. This was breath. In, out, in, out. The shape of a shell. The curl of a fern unfurling. The way a hawk circles on steady thermals, wider and wider. Never in a hurry, never wasting a wing beat. I lay beside him with my chin on my paws, and watched him trace that spiral again with his thumb when he was finished. He didn't say, "This is my vow," but I knew it was. Men don't always speak their vows out loud. The honest ones almost never do. 'Cause the vows aren't for witnesses. They're for self you'll have to face when you break them. He slid the knife away, sat through a long moment, forearms resting across his thighs, shoulders loose, eyes somewhere beyond the valley. Then, and this is important, he didn't ask for anything. He didn't ask God to watch over him. He didn't ask the dead to forgive him. He didn't ask the world to give him peace. He just breathed. For the first time since she died, he just breathed. And the wind moved through us like an answer. We made good camp, a little off trail as evening settled. The light went amber at first, then bruised purple. Down in the hollows, crickets took over where the cicadas left off. The first hint of a chill crept in under my ribs when I curled up. Kept the fire small. He always keeps the fire small. Don't like wasting wood. Says it's greedy to take more heat than you need. He sat with his back against the tree, his knees up, journal propped up on them. The little notebook he carries is warm, soft, swollen at the spine from sweat and rain. He doesn't write much in it, not every night, only when something shifts. He wrote tonight, just one line. I watched his hand move, slow, breath, careful. Like the words hurt a little, but in a way, you can finally understand. He closed the book, wrapped the band back around it, and set it beside the lamp. The lamp flickered, steady in the dark, not bright, not dramatic, just steady. The way a heartbeat is steady. The way a lighthouse is steady. The way a promise is supposed to be steady. He leaned his head back against the bark, let his eyes close, and let the fire burn down the coals. I moved closer, curled against his boot, and listened to his breathing. It had changed. The ragged edge was gone. He wasn't at peace, not yet. But for the first time since we started north, he was not at war. Every vow worth keeping is whispered to no one. Men love to carve their words on stone and call it legacy. They love to raise their hands in front of crowds and swear to heaven and oath and flag. But that kind of vow, it's theater. It's loud, so they don't have to live it. The vow that matters is the one you make alone beside a trickle of cold mountain water, with no witness but a trail dog and the sound of late summer insects. The vow that matters is the one you carve with a dull knife and a river stone and then leave behind. Not so the world will see it, but so you can't take it back. This is the discipline of the Lampbearer. Set anger down without letting fear pick it up. To carry light without asking to be worshipped for it. To walk forward not because you're running from pain, but you could choose to refuse to abandon those still in it. Understand this. The world thinks salvation is an event, a sermon, a mountain, a miracle. It is not. Salvation is a decision made in quiet and kept in motion. From this point on, the old man no longer walks to escape the weight of his grief. From this point on, he walks to share the light that survived it. This was a little bit longer. If you made it this far, thank you. We're getting ready to transition to the end of Act 1. I hope you're enjoying the journey of Old Man and the Thomas the Trailhound. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Those of you willing to listen. The playlist grows every Saturday. Diogenes of America, out.